I met this one gal named Julia, who's been like my main girl now for 2 years. And when I first met her, I figured out she was like a pastor's kid, so she knew a lot about the Bible. But it wasn't like, she never really knew about discipleship, I guess you would say. And she really wasn't into like scripture memory, or I think she had consistent quiet times and things like that, but she was like totally turned off by the whole Christianese and Christian language and stuff like that. She was like, can you just chill out on me a little bit? Like, don't talk like that and stuff. And I was like, okay, interesting. I'm gonna kind of like press into some of these areas. But honestly, with her, it was just like a really fun friendship right off the bat. We both were praying for like a friend, because I didn't know anybody my age and she didn't know anybody. She was a freshman coming in, so we got to explore basically WSU together. We've been meeting consistently one-on-one, and just pushed her this year to like really dig into memorizing scripture. And it's kind of funny because you have to take off like a friend hat almost and put on like a mentor hat with people you're really close with. And I'm like, this is kind of weird, you know, like this is kind of a different transition. But she was like, whoa, okay, Katie, like if you want me to memorize scripture, I'll do it, you know? And I'm like, yes, finally it worked, like after a year. And she came back and she like had the first 2 verses of the TMS APAC memorized or whatever. And I was like, oh, let's go, you're like catching the vision. And she was like, I was asking her, why do you think it's important to like memorize scripture? What's the point of that and all that? And she was like, well, if I get locked in prison and I have no Bible, it's important to memorize scripture. I was like, wow, that's really intense, but that's awesome. I'm glad you're memorizing this. Long story short, she's like really on fire for discipleship and picked up a freshman girl that has been coming to her Bible study. She's leading a Bible study. She's on core team now. And I feel like that's also just like propelled her relationship with God as well, because she is surrounded by other people who are trying to disciple as well. It's like she trusted me and she knew I wasn't just trying to manipulate her into something. I legitimately really care about this girl. I'm gonna be like devastated when she leaves next year, because she's in the nursing program and you can only do 2 years.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah. That's sick. And you had to kind of, I guess, earn that influence, right? Yeah. Like she trusted you. Mm-hmm. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a crazy virtual year of starting to do ministry in COVID, it was really interesting even just trying to find people to meet up with. And so it was like, man, we had a couple people on leadership, a couple that I just had to chase down that I knew had been involved prior. And that's kind of where we saw a lot of fruit come from. And so that's where this one guy, Andrew, started. He'd been in and out of the ministry, involved with different programs, coming to Bible study, things like that, but never really caught the vision or really understood like, why are we doing this on campus? It was kind of just checking off a box for him, similar to just, I don't know, attending church or appeasing his parents. And so I got to just chase him down. We luckily clicked really well. I realized rather quickly that he always felt this need to be doing all right. You know, like it's like it was bad to not be doing okay. And that became a consistent theme. And then he's always sharing with me about how he's, you know, witnessing in this place or witnessing in that place. I realized that it was in such a great heart of just being instilled by family and other people he'd been around that he needed to labor. And I think what was really interesting was a lot of that was happening, that desire was there before there was this real, intimate, thriving walk with Jesus. And so he didn't really have a source that he was pulling from when it came to trying to minister, nor even minister effectively. And so, yeah, I just got to pray about it for a long time with the Lord. Thankfully, he revealed it to Andrew on his own. I didn't have to bring it up, and that was just, a wonderful provision of seeing God's grace and just faithfulness in that. And so as we got to transition to the end of the school year, he starts getting more excited and really was just so much more humble about like, wow, now I know that I can ask for help. I'm gonna start doing that, over and over and over again, like give me everything you have. And so by the time we get to in-person and it's a lot more practical for him to start pursuing guys, he's caught the vision for discipleship. He's seen how God's just used our, seemingly small 1.5 hours together each week to help him see so many biblical truths, and how Jesus just wanted to enter into every crevice of his life and bring freedom, that he didn't have to feel the shackles of being enough anymore. It's just been great to see, and that's been reflected in the way he spends time with the Lord too. And so I think a big part of it was making sure that we weren't just running hot because he was excited about laboring, but that it actually was coming from a heart and compassion for people and desire to help others also experience freedom. It wasn't out of ought to's or because he knows he should or because everyone else around him, is meeting up with people and having someone to meet up with one-on-one, but that, man, because his heart was burdened for those surrounding him. And so he's a man that I was extremely, extremely pleased with this fall launch, where he just got to kind of be let loose for the first time with this vision in mind. And instead of having to, try to share the gospel or bless every single person he came into contact with, he learned he could bless occasionally and around, but he could also give people the time to be listened to and heard and understood. And he could divert more of his attention and energy to investing deeply with a few. And I think that just became so much more reproducible for him. He got to learn that he can relax in relationships. He can actually just enjoy people, and he doesn't have to pretend to be something. And it's just been so freeing to see. And I see the gratitude, I see the humility that is just, it's an aroma about him that is so different. His posture in Bible study is just, it's a different Andrew from the Andrew I first met. And it's just been so grateful to see and to experience, because I know it wasn't me. From our little time together of casting vision and trying to help point certain things out, it's so evident that the Lord just gripped his heart and changed it himself. And so it's just been a joy to be alongside someone like that and to also see him be excited about disciple making and trying to meet up with guys. And so he has 3 guys right now that he's trying to pursue individually, and some of them are flaky and some of them are really faithful, and he's trying to figure out, what on earth do I do? Like, Harlan, I don't know what I'm doing, man. And I'm like, hey, that's a great place to be. A broken and contrite spirit the Lord will not despise. It's all right, yeah.